Hello, my name is Kellie and I'm here to tell you about what has happened a month ago in Japan. A little over a month ago, a 9.0 earthquake struck the country of Japan, and following that earthquake followed the tragedy of a tsunami. And as we're speaking, the country is being ravaged by a nuclear meltdown. The Fukushima 50, which is what the media is calling the 50 Fukushima nuclear power plant workers that are still at the plants, desperately trying to save the country from a full nuclear blowout. Of these 50, three of these workers were rushed to the hospital 2 weeks ago from severe radiation burns. As they're trying desperately to save the country, they accidentally stepped into radiation-teeming waters and were exposed to high levels of radiation. 2 of those 3 workers have perished for their country. This raises the question that, what if this were to happen in California? This could happen in California because California sits on many active fault lines, and we contain 2 power plant stations, one in San Onofre and one in Rancho Canyon, up north. The evacuation radius in Japan was recommended by U.S. officials up to 50 miles. This was recommended because it's recommended by U.S. officials. Now, if this were to happen in California, the evacuation radius would still be the same. And Fullerton, the city of Fullerton falls within that range, about 40 miles from San Onofre. In this speech, I will inform you on our local nuclear power plant, San Onofre, safety precautions on disasters. First, I'll inform you on the similarities between San Onofre and Fukushima power plant. Secondly, I'll inform you on San Onofre's policies on natural disasters. And thirdly, I will inform you on what would happen to California in the event of a nuclear disaster. So let's start with my first point of the similarities between the Fukushima power plant in Japan and California and San Onofre. One of the major problems that was in Japan is that the backup diesel generators were wiped out in the tsunami. These generators are used to run the cooling systems in the power plant. One of the major design flaws of the Fukushima power plant is that these generators were actually located at sea level. So when the tsunami came, it was easily blown out. These were designed at sea level because it was assumed that the 20-foot seawall surrounding the Fukushima power plant was going to be able to protect the power plant. Unfortunately, the tsunami that hit Japan was 23 feet, so it was easily compromised. This could not be possible in San Onofre because not only is these backup generators are protected by a 30-foot seawall. It's also said by Pete Detrick from the nuclear power plant spokesman, and he said in a LA Times article just this month saying that these backup generators are not only in a watertight, missile-proof bunker, but they're also stored 30 feet above sea level, wiping out the chance that a tsunami could wipe them out. Another major difference between the Fukushima and San Onofre power plant is the placement of the fuel tanks. These fuel tanks are used to run those diesel generators. The placement of the fuel tanks in the Fukushima power plant was also located at sea level, which was also, again, wiped out by the tsunami. In San Onofre, these fuel tanks are located below sea level, wiping out the chance that it could be blown out from the tsunami, because the tsunami would go over it, not into it. This design element could have saved the fate of what's happening in Japan currently. Another difference is that, as we all know, or we may have heard, is that the San Onofre power plant station has the power to withstand a velocity earthquake of 7.0, even though in Japan the earthquake was a 9.0. However, in Japan, the velocity at which the ground was moving was 3.5 Gs. Now, what the Seidanora power plant can withstand is up to 7 Gs, which is twice as what the velocity of what the ground was moving. This element is more efficient for engineers to go by. It is said that the power plant may experience larger and more frequent earthquakes than had been anticipated when first designed. And this will bring me into my next point of the safety precautions that San Onofre has in store for natural disasters. One of the key components of safety in any nuclear power plant station is its control room. Its control room at San Onofre has several people operating it at all times. And also a key safety element is which is called in-depth defense, which means that whenever there's a problem, it doesn't rely on just one solution to the problem. Everything is double and triple checked when it comes to safety. And within those control rooms are the people who operate them. And according to Gil Alexander, the spokesman for the San Onofre power plant station, stated last month in the OC Register, saying that these operators go through rigorous training, and once they are licensed to become operators, they spend 1 week out of every 6 retraining. So that means once they are employed, after 2 months, they are spent retraining those safety precautions. Another safety element of the San Onofre is a specific fire station dedicated just to the power plant station. This fire department is designed specifically and trained specifically to deal with nuclear fires. And what has recently been done to San Onofre is a multi-million-dollar renovation to the power plant, which had cost them 10 years to do and a little over $700 million. So what that means is not only is the power plant supported by more safety-efficient energy solutions, it also means that it's equipped with more efficient technology monitoring safety systems. And what the rest of the world is doing at the moment in response to the nuclear disaster in Japan is that Germany has actually been has closed down its older reactors. Switzerland has suspended its approval process of 3 new reactors. Europe is calling for a stress test of all reactors, and in the United States, Obama has called for all 104 power plants to be reviewed in safety, which includes San Onofre. And I'll go into my last point of speaking about what would happen to California in the event of a nuclear disaster. More specifically, what would happen to Fullerton and Orange County if a nuclear disaster were to occur at San Onofre. Well, it has been said by Daniel Hirsch, nuclear professor at UC Santa Cruz, saying that this event that is occurring in Japan can happen to the United States because San Onofre sits on a very active fault line that is similar to Japan's. And malfunction and terrorism can result in these kind of things. Now, if a disaster were to occur, residents would make their way, which would include Fullerton, would make their way towards the OC Fairgrounds in Costa Mesa, which there will be a decontamination center and facilities to treat those who are contaminated and shelter. Also, if there were to be any panic of a nuclear disaster, the state would use the reverse 911 calls to give you information such as to stay put, evacuate, take iodine, or to take shelter. Also, what is necessary is to be informed. Always being informed on a disaster, informed and prepared, such as having a earthquake prepare kit, which would include water, food, and clothes. In this speech, I have covered the topic of our local nuclear power plants policies on disasters. I have covered the topic of